Thank you, thank you, thank you. No applause necessary, thank you. Kids, welcome to the wonderful world of handwriting. You should be on page 23 of your handwriting packet, and it should be the letter A, which is a continuation of the C stroke letters. So you can see I already have my name at the top of my paper, and I am going to live dangerously here and do mine in red today just because I want to for something different. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So all I'm going to do first is read the directions, C stroke letters, and notice it's at the 2 o'clock position where I start. That would be right about here on my paper or on my lines. And it says, put your pencil a small step down at 2 o'clock on the dot and write each letter as instructions are read. So I will read these out loud to you, but you can either do it with the video or you can do it after the fact. I mean, just whatever kind of makes sense for you. So make a C stroke and close. That would be a C stroke, and then I'm going to close it up. And then it says go down to the writing line. So after I close it up, I'm going to follow that line back down, and I'm going to stop there. And then I'm going to go over to my lowercase a, and it says make a C stroke and close, go down to the writing line. So I'm going to make a C stroke, and I'm going to close it up, and I'm going to follow that line back down and go to my writing line. And that's it. That's how you make the letter A in cursive using this style of handwriting. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to practice my capital A's, and I'm going to go nice and slow. I'm not going to be sloppy and careless with my work. I'm just going to take my time, make my C strokes, follow my line down, keep my hand firmly on my paper or my writing surface. And again, even me, you can see I kind of started to go a little faster because just like you, I want to be done with this too, but I have to take my time and do my work carefully. So I keep going through my letters until I get to the end. And then I'm going to go down and start my lowercase letters. You can pause the video, you can leave it running, but I'm going to go ahead and complete that step, and then I'm going to start recording again. As you can see, I went through and I finished all my capital letters A, and I finished all my lowercase letters A. And I'm just going to point out to you here that when you let your red pencil roll across a page, actually what I was going to say is when you connect these A's, usually you won't connect an uppercase or a capital A because, at least from the front, because you're not going to have a capital A in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of a word usually. So that one you don't have to worry too much about. But if we did connect it, we would connect it right from the bottom there. And you can already see that it connects again at the bottom on the other side to the next letter in the word. So lowercase letters, it's more common. You connect it in the same spot, and then you would make your C stroke and go down. So I would come up from my letter before, make my C stroke, and come down. That's important when I get to these letters because I'm going to start my A here and I'm going to connect another A, but I'm going to loop it right in, make my C stroke, and come back down to my writing line. So when I practice, it should look like this. I start my C stroke in my 2 o'clock position, I complete it, I hook it back together, and then I make my next A doing the same thing. So again, I'm going to stop my video, straighten out my paper, and continue with that piece, and then I'll go on to the words and the sentence. You can see I finished all my connected A's. I did forget to read the directions, so I'm going to go back and read them for you. Write a line of A's connected in twos. Be sure to start a small step down at 2 o'clock, make the A, add the steps connector, and go up and around to the 2 o'clock starting point for the next day. So they do tell you exactly what I told you, but they use different vocabulary. So what they're saying is, just like I told you when I used my highlighter, as you connect, you have to go back up the steps, make your C stroke, and then complete it and close it, and then come back down to your writing line. So that's all the directions say there. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to write my words, or I'm going to practice my words. So I'm going to start my C stroke, and I already know the T and the E, so that word is 8. So I make my C stroke, I close it, I come back down, and then I go up the steps to start my T, and I go up the steps again to start my E, and they're all connected, and I go back at the end and cross my T. Pair, same thing. I'm going to start my P, and I'm going to go up the steps to connect my E. There's my A that I've been practicing. C stroke down to the writing line, and my R. And that word is pair. And then the very last one, J-A-R, jar. I'm going to go up the steps. I'm going to come down and make my loop, and then I'm going to go up the steps again to connect my C stroke to my A. And I'm going to finish off with my R. And I go back and dot my letters at the very end. And that last word is jar. So for the sentence, just like I've told you many times, I like to just kind of sketch out lines so I kind of know where they want me to stop and how big my words should be. It doesn't have to be perfect, and if you skip this step, as long as you're close, that's okay. But I'm going to go ahead and just write my sentence. So I have my hand firmly planted. I'm going to start with my capital A, so I'm going to make my C stroke, and then I'm going to go up the steps to connect my P, and just continue with my letters. And you can see as I write, if I start to slow down, my lines get a little shaky. And that's okay as you learn how to create these letters. But really in cursive, as you get better with it, the quicker and while being carefully you can move your hand, just like an artist, the smoother your letters look. So as you practice, you're going to want to try and keep your hand speed about the same and not try and start and stop, because every time I start and stop, I'm going to get little shakes in my line. So it depends on how careful you want to be with it. But if you want your lines to look smooth, you got to kind of develop that strength in your hand to keep those muscles moving at the same speed. But April likes to eat apples. That's my sentence. It ended about the same spot. If you noticed, I made my A a little too wide, so I kind of shrunk down my P, R, I, and L. That's okay, but I do have appropriate spaces between my words, and I did end with a period. Thanks, kids. We'll see you again next time for the wonderful world of handwriting.